Welcome back to episode 2 of this World War II review series of miniatures. So for those that watched my video that was posted a few days ago, you would know that I've since had to take that down purely because I was actually reviewing somebody else's models partway through that review episode. So yeah, huge mistake on my part, and I can only apologize to Simon at Simon Soldiers. So I've hastily put this one together, but it's given me an opportunity to speak to Simon, and Simon has addressed a few of my concerns in my previous video. So I mentioned that a couple of the Pathfinders had issues with their ears and headsets, etc., and he's just addressed that as that was actually a casting issue, and that's something that could easily be fixed. All you have to do is reach out to him. So if you do experience something like that, reach out to Simon. As I said in that video as well, he's a fantastic bloke to deal with, so you will not have any dramas on that front. Now, I also addressed in that video a few little details that were lacking on the 30 cal machine gun. That is still the case, but today I've decided that we'll look at a few other things. As you can see in this picture now, we're going to be looking at what's on screen. But before we get into all of that, for those that didn't watch that video, if you want to get your hands on some Simon Soldiers models, you can go ahead and go to Simon Soldiers website. On there is a whole plethora of different miniatures, from Volkssturm to Fallschirmjäger to British Infantry, US Airborne. There's plenty of resin vehicles on there. There's just so much to choose from. The range is huge, and the price is really competitive with a lot of other companies. It's a really good price. The postage option is fantastic, and as I said, Simon's awesome to deal with. So if you have any issues, Simon will absolutely address them. Then you've also got Wargaming Miniatures, who's run by Paul. So for those in the UK who want to get your hands on some of these, that's another option for you. So let's go ahead and take a look at some US Airborne. So this is USP-1A, and this guy is holding a Garand. So USP-1A is 3 riflemen in different poses. So as you can see, the detail on these is fantastic. The Garand is really nice. As I said in the previous video, the weapons from Simon Soldiers are always really on point, and all the details there, as you'd expect. The poses look very natural here. This guy looks like he's firing over a wall perhaps, and he's got a bit of additional detail, which is a really nice little addition there with the bag on the back. And I also took a sample from USP2, so these are chaps with Thompsons. This guy's got a helmet on, but it's got no scrim or netting, which is a really nice addition. You don't really see that with World War II US Airborne miniatures. You can see the Thompson looks like it's got some pretty good detail on there. And then we also have a chap from USP3 who's got the M1 carbine. Again, this guy's got the netting on this time. You can see that some of the details on him are exaggerated, as I've said before in my previous video. So the creasing on the back of the shirt, the water bottles are a little bit more enlarged. And there's also some lines that run along his arm. I'm not sure if that's just like an exaggeration of crease lines, but you know, it is what it is. It still looks fantastic. Now I just want to compare the facial expression. So it might be a bit hard to pick up in this video, but they are different, which is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a variety in facial expressions. You don't want them all to look exactly the same, especially if you're more as a painter than a gamer. I definitely find myself painting a lot more than I game. So I like variety and I like things to look different. Now I want to take a look at VS-02, which is the Volkssturm. Now this guy is holding an SMG. He's got what you'd expect to see, an armband, he's wearing a hat, he's got the gas mask canister, water bottle, and a few other bits of webbing on there, but it all looks rushed, which is what you'd expect to see. And you can sort of see the quality of both the US Airborne and the Volkssturm together. They both look really nice. The details don't seem to be as exaggerated in the Volkssturm, which is more to my taste. However, I still really like the US Airborne. So this guy's holding a similar SMG, but he's got a helmet on instead of the hat. The detail looks, again, really nice and varied, which is good to see. They're not all got the exact same equipment, especially being Volkssturm. You know, their equipment was just thrown together. This guy's fortunate enough to have a STG 44, and he's got the armband on his left sleeve. Yep, all looks really nice. Simon soldiers have a particular look to them, and for those that have them, you'll know what I mean. They're a little bit more stocky. They're a bit smaller than AB figures, but they look awesome once painted up. We'll see some painted examples towards the end of the video. Then we've got this guy with an MP40. The MP40 detail on this guy is just fantastic. Simon Soldier's weapons are just great. Apart from the 30 cal that I reviewed in the other one, that's the only exception I've seen thus far. Every other weapon has looked really good with tons and tons of detail. And then this guy's got a PPSH, so he doesn't want to be captured by the Russians, and yeah, looks really good. You can see this sort of dent in the back of his shirt in the previous shot just there. So again, a bit of that exaggeration. You can see the armband I'm pointing out there. And there's the crease that we were just talking about. And then there's just some lines on the end of the sort of sleeves. I'm not exactly sure what they're for because they don't look like creases because they're really straight lines. So yeah, that might just be, you know, something unique with these particular models or the way that they're sculpted. Yeah, they add a little bit of definition to the uniform, I suppose. And then we can compare the facial expressions on these, so they look different, which is awesome to see. They don't vary in size as well, or height, which is good. So you can tell that the range is obviously compatible, which is great. With the other stuff, that is. So the US Airborne and these work exactly the same in height, which is great. These two firing have the exact same facial expressions. Yeah, so a really nice set there. I really do like some Volkssturm. And then we move on to the Japanese. So this is JAP-03, and this is an anti-tank platoon or anti-tank lot. So they've got a variety of different anti-tank weapons and materials. So this guy looks like he's carrying some sort of TNT. He's got the Japanese helmet on with insignia on there, which is a fantastic detail. This guy is running with an anti-tank grenade by the looks of things. A really good pose because it looks like he's mid-throw with his legs bent, which is a really nice touch. It's not like so wooden. So yeah, that does look natural to me. And there we go, pointing out the insignia on the helmet. There's very little in the way of cleanup. I mean, you can see big chunks of cleanup, like a little bits of metal hanging off the end of the grenade, for example, but that's just common with most metal figures. You know, you're going to get that regardless. So yeah, there's really not a whole lot of cleanup. All you need is a file and a pair of side cutters. Got another guy here who's again wearing a helmet. He's got a bit of, almost looks like a Legionnaire's, back of a Legionnaire's hat on the back, obviously protecting his neck from the sun, which is very common with Japanese models. You can see the details are exaggerated, but sometimes that's good, so the pocket really does stand out. So when you're painting, it really does make painting it a lot easier. The details aren't hidden, they stand out a lot more. Then this guy's got one of those poled anti-tank weapons, so he's obviously going to his own death. And yeah, charging, or not charging, kneeling, getting ready to charge. But this guy's got a hat on, so that's a nice change. Yeah, it looks really good. And then we've got another guy sort of launching themselves at some unsuspecting US or Allied tank. And Yeah, really nice. You can see there's a bit more cleanup involved with these. There's a bit more metal hanging off, but like I said, there's nothing a pair of good side cutters or even a pair of shoddy side cutters won't fix. But if you want to have a look at some painted examples, we can see that there's a British Airborne that I've painted up here. This guy's got a captured MP40 with his collar up. Looks really cool. You don't really see many 20mm British Airborne with captured weapons, so I thought he would be a nice addition to my 20mm Airborne, and he fits in relatively well with AB. They're a bit smaller than AB, so if you're looking really close you can see the difference, but I had to get this guy thrown in, a guy with bagpipes. Yeah, you just have to have them, don't you? Rallying the troops. The detail is just fantastic. Now this guy had lines in the uniform on the sleeves that, as I mentioned previously, they are hidden, so you really can't tell when you've painted them. I'm just a bit confused as to why they're on there, but they're on there, and once painted you really can't see them anyway. So this guy's another good example of that. With the details being exaggerated, you can see how they really pop once you've painted them. This model also has insignia that's already sculpted onto the uniform, which is just fantastic. That's a really nice touch actually, because when you start painting that insignia, the wash goes in where it's been sculpted, so you don't really struggle trying to paint a square or a rectangle or a circle, whatever insignia is on the uniform. So I was able to paint his pips, I was able to paint his airborne insignia as well. He also had the airborne emblem on his beret, which is again something you don't really see on 20mm British Airborne figures, so that's another good touch. There's a bit of exaggerated detail on the collar with the lines already put in there. I liked it at first, but the more I look at it, the more I think, I would have liked to have perhaps not painted them so the lines are noticeable. I think they're meant to show creases in the collar, which is fine. That's all cool. So overall, a really good range of miniatures. Simon Soldiers are great. Simon himself is a huge wargamer. So if you want to check out Wargamers Oz Facebook page, I'll leave a link to the page in my description. It shows his setup, and his table is just huge. Honestly, it looks like one of the biggest tables I've ever seen. He's a fellow Aussie, even though I've got my Aussie citizenship, so I'll call myself an Aussie. He's a fellow Aussie, and he really does look after his fellow wargamers. So if you're in Australia and you buy off Simon Soldiers, you won't be disappointed. So overall, really good. The level of detail on the models, I'll give an 8 out of 10. The casting quality, I'll give an 8 out of 10, and the satisfaction with purchase, I'll give a 9 out of 10. So overall, 25 out of a possible 30, which is a really good score. Yeah, really, really happy with these. You will not be disappointed. They might not be for everyone, but they're certainly a great addition. If these are the sort of things that you're looking for, especially with the range that they have. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this. Sorry that this is take 2, I should say, of this video. My opinions changed slightly a little bit after speaking to Simon, after looking at other stuff I got that I neglected. I thought, no, I was probably a bit harsh in my previous video, so I'm glad that I stuffed it up and I got to do it again. Because I don't think the points really changed. I think I gave it 24.5 out of a possible 30. This time I gave it a 25. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm just glad I was able to get it out quickly with having a little one running around. It does make it a little bit tricky to get videos smashed out, but hopefully guys, you appreciate having me correct my error. But other than that, I'll leave it here. Thanks again to my YouTube channel members and Patreons. If you want to join their ranks, you can find all that stuff in the description and also on the About Me of my YouTube channel. And yeah, I'd love to hear what you would like to see next. I'll leave it here, guys, and I will catch you later. Thanks. Bye.